this is the Microsoft Surface Duo. At least that's what the official packaging for plebeians like us who spent $1,400 on it will look like. And if you are crazy enough to spend $1,400 on this phone, you're going to get it in this package here. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to unbox this baby and actually see what this is all about. And I'm so excited for it. Packaging looks nice and clean, just what I like from a big OEM like Microsoft. Music to my ears. And there we go. Wow, this just looks shocking right off the bat. Oh man, the feel of the glass on your fingers. I like it already. It has a little bit of heft to it. Oh wow, look at that. this you know, you can tell I'm falling in love with this immediately, at least from feel. Like, oh wow, that's soft. That's soft close. Jeez, that just feels so nice to close that. I love this already. Let's set it aside though for now. Let's see what else is inside the box. This is a Microsoft Surface Duo bumper. I would go out on a limb and say this is probably the only case you're going to find for this anytime soon. It's not really even a case. It's just a bumper. And it looks like it's two pieces that snap into place. So let's try that right now. Let's slide this over here. Kind of just sticks into place. It's a little sticky on it, so it does kind of, it's interesting. It feels sticky for sure, so there is some sort of something sticky. It stretches, of course, and then you just slide the other piece in there, and it just holds in place. And this is what it looks like with the bumper on. It doesn't add too much bulk. There's a little bit of a grip on the back. I do like that. So when you're holding it like a book, it leaves the USB-C port exposed. And then everything else is covered up with a little lip and also the hinge open for you. And then we have paperwork, of course, but we're not going to read that because we don't read paperwork here, even though we probably should for this particular phone. And then we also have our USB-C to C cable, and we also have a power brick here. And this power brick, the prongs actually pull out and store inside, so that's kind of cool. And then here we go. Here is the Surface. This one's at 855, Snapdragon 855, last year's processor. And this baby also has 6 gigabytes of RAM. So not the highest end specs. We don't expect that. But the form factor, I mean, look at this thing. This just looks like crazy. We got this at the Microsoft store, by the way, in this unlocked version. And you can see we just have multiple screens that we can scroll. On the left side, we kind of have like this homepage, like a Google Now area. You know, Samsung also does that with the Bixby stuff. And you customize it with Microsoft apps and a couple of other widgets. It's a widget customization. I wish we could put more like Google Now things. I don't really like using Microsoft stuff, but this is a Microsoft phone, so of course, you know, you kind of are locked into some of their apps. And then the experience is very similar to Android. You swipe up, and you do have your app drawer because this is Android 10. It's running Android 10 with like Microsoft's weird little skin on it. Nothing too drastically crazy. You swipe down and do that search just like on Android. And of course, you have your settings, your quick settings toggle on both sides. You can mirror both sides of your operation. So either side, you can pull up your app drawer or the quick settings. It's exactly the same on both sides. When you open any app or something like Chrome, it opens up on whatever screen you open it up on. So you can do it on the left screen or the right screen, and you can just operate it like you normally would, or you can hold it towards the center like that and stretch it into a full screen mode. Then you can rotate it and it can have a different orientation like we have here. So you have, it's 3:2 aspect ratio per screen. So honestly, you're not really going to get anything beneficial by using one orientation or another in this kind of aspect ratio. At least I haven't noticed it. But let's try something like, say, on Reddit. Reddit isn't optimized for this phone. So if you stretch it to both screens, you get something like this. You have to switch it to this orientation. For some reason, it won't let you do it in the other orientation because, once again, it's not optimized for it. So the best way to use Reddit right now is have it on one screen. and you can toss it to one screen and then throw it onto the other screen and push something else, whatever thumb or finger you feel comfortable with browsing Reddit at a time. And you can open up a second app like, say, Webtoons, and you can read two things at once, or you can watch a video on Reddit while reading your Webtoons. I kind of like doing this. There's different app combinations. Hit that like button, though, by the way, if you want to see different combinations. I've already started meshing a couple apps that I think work pretty well, and they're very interesting. So I'm going to do a video on that. Here is another example of that full screen thing not really working too well on this phone. The thing is, when you're using this phone, you forget that you have two actual full screens. This is a 5.6-inch 1800 by 1350p display, but it feels like it's not a full screen display. It actually is a really big screen as it is, but because you are able to stretch it to two screens, it's a little finicky at times. It's a little hard to get it. It feels kind of weird once it's a full screen. You don't realize that you're actually watching on a full screen because you want to do it like this, where you have it as a full screen on both screens. And when you do it like that, that's an 8.1-inch screen. So it's a very weird conundrum to think about. Here is the best way to watch a YouTube video, in my opinion. So you have the video on one full screen. That's a 5.6-inch full screen, and yet you can have a full screen, another 5.6-inch screen with just the comments. That's the perfect way to view it. But once again, it feels just like it's not a full screen because it's on only one of the screens. You kind of have to reframe your mind because it feels like you're only using half the screen, but in reality, you're using one full screen as it is. We just don't need that two screen to make it full screen, if that makes sense. Let's also check the settings. I haven't shown you guys the settings yet. So when you click the settings button, you do get something very similar to stock Android. It's not too drastically different since this is Android 10. Also, I want to note that we're using gestures right now, but you can switch it back to the traditional 3 Android buttons, the home, back, and recent apps. But I think the best way to use this would be to use gestures. And the reason I say that is because Microsoft has optimized this kind of skin to use that. You see right there, I just clicked on something called groupings. So you can group two apps together. They open simultaneously on two sides. And here is one of the examples. Just like I mentioned right before, I'm going to do a video specifically on really interesting groupings I found. This is one of them. So this game that I play, it's kind of like a resource game, and it does take some time. You get resources to build up, and sometimes you do auto battle and things like that, and it needs to play its course. You're just sitting there watching it. You can watch a YouTube video on the other side while your little army is doing your bidding without you actually needing to do anything, and you're waiting for them to finish. You can watch a video. So it's kind of cool. There's different combinations you can do that I found that works pretty well. Microsoft has also given us this really nice little like peek where you just open it a little bit and you get to see the time and the date. Sometimes it doesn't work, but most of the time it's actually very effective. So you don't have to open the entire screen. It just keeps black and you can see the time and the date. Now let's talk about the camera, because this is a bit of a compromise. It's an 11 megapixel camera. It's not that great already. I can already tell after a couple of days. The camera is facing inside, not on the outside of the phone. It's on the bezel on the right side of the phone. And when you take a photo, let's say this is something that I do like about this aspect. If you use the full screen on this camera app and you take a photo, on the left side, you have the gallery app immediately on the side. It's like a preview section on Android. So I'm going to take a photo right now of myself, and it's going to immediately show you a preview of it like you would on Android, but instead of exiting the camera app to go to your preview on your gallery app, it immediately just has it on the left side while your camera is still on, so you can take another photo as a reference with the gallery open there. So I really do like this aspect of it. Now let's say we want to take a photo in our primary position with the camera facing behind us. We can't really do that because the camera is once again facing us, so we got to turn the camera back, and it automatically switches the app where the viewfinder is facing you. It's a little glitchy, a little laggy at times, but it does work. Now you can see it's the viewfinder. I do absolutely see a lot of potential issues with this. We'll talk about it in our full review. But otherwise, that's basically my first few days with the Microsoft Surface Duo, and I have a lot of thoughts already that I'm going to share with you guys for the full review. I'm also, once again, I'm going to make a bunch of videos with the apps and kind of like different combinations and things. Tell me what you guys want to see with this Surface Duo, and I'll try to do as many videos as I can, because this thing is really interesting. I can't really put my finger on why I feel this way, but I do feel like this phone is special. It annoys me. It annoys me a lot. Don't get me wrong. This thing is a bug fest. People are right. Like, it's not ready for consumers, but it is beautiful. It feels great, and something about it just feels really special. I'm Alex from Subnautics. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
You know, when people slide in my DMs, the number one thing they ask me is, should I subscribe? And I tell them yes. Yes, they should.